Hey, welcome back. My name is Justin. We're talking about meditation today. First off, I would like to note that I am not a certified teacher of any way, shape, or form. I'm just a guy who's trying to make it in this world and trying to do a little bit better. So I wanted to do a quick little video about what is meditation for me and why do I do it. What's the point? What is the point? Why meditate? Why spend 30 minutes to an hour or longer sitting still and breathing? Sounds pretty boring, right? Bottom line is it's a practice of training the mind. In our lives, day to day, the mind just thinks. It thinks and thinks and thinks and thinks and thinks, and that's what it does. And as a human being on Earth, that is vital to survival. Like, you can't go through life not thinking. And I think there's a misconception that meditation is the act of clearing the thoughts from your mind, and that's just simply not true. It's more of learning how to not let the thoughts control you and to make up who you are. It's a practice of watching the thoughts. You're never gonna turn the mind off. That's like saying, I'm gonna stop the heart from pumping blood, or I'm gonna stop the kidneys from doing their job. I'm gonna stop any of the the parts of your body that function without you even knowing what they're doing. We're not conscious of what's happening, in the brain. It's the same way. It thinks. It is a part of the body that thinks. And as humans, day to day, we let our thoughts just run wild, like, a puppy or a monkey. They call it the monkey mind. One thought swing into another thought to another, and we go through life writing stories, and sometimes it's helpful, and then sometimes it's not, because sometimes we create stories without having all the information. And I don't know how many times you've gotten into an argument with somebody in your head. I do it a lot. But the practice of meditation is sitting quiet and still and focusing on a single point, like the breath or a certain phrase or a mantra, in order to take the attention away from the thoughts and to become more of a watcher of the thoughts as they happen. And in this, you gradually gain more control of your mind, and you realize that what thoughts are important and what thoughts are rubbish. I will say, in my experience as an alcoholic, a recovering alcoholic, in the past, I had problems with remembering the good times in the beginning when I started drinking, and it was a lot of fun. I painted a picture of going to the pub with my friends, 20 years ago, and, having a great time. During periods of sobriety, and just remembering and focusing on those thoughts from the past a lot of times would sound so tempting and pleasurable that I would end up going and taking a drink and forgetting all of the bad shit that went down. It was bad. So anyway, it's a process of watching the mind and differentiating the useful thoughts versus the bad thoughts. And it's also a practice of cultivating better thoughts and better behaviors through different practices. A metta practice is a very good example of a loving kindness practice, whereas during seated meditation you wish yourself goodwill, and happiness and peace, and then you turn that onto others. And it's just a practice of instilling these thoughts. It's like reprogramming a computer with bad software. So that's essentially what meditation is for me. It's not, at this point, it's not my intention to get anywhere, to seek enlightenment. Yes, maybe a little bit, but it's more like, what am I doing right now and how can I be better? Why do I meditate? I think overall, I am trying to achieve a sense of peace and serenity. At this age, at this time in my life, I value peace and calm and quiet more than just about anything. I thrived in chaos in my earlier years, especially drinking and drugs and partying. And I meditate to reduce stress and anxiety. I wouldn't say that I'm generally an anxious person, mainly because of this practice, but I know that in the past I had suffered from anxiety, especially during massive hangovers, which luckily, thank God, I don't have to deal with that anymore. But there's still some stress and anxiety, the day-to-day, I think right now a little bit with the unemployment thing. There's a little financial insecurity because I think we have some stimulus money coming, but when is it coming? Am I gonna be able to make the bills? I think that overall I'm gonna be okay, and I think that's where this practice comes in handy, is because I know that it's going to be okay overall, and that money isn't the end all be all. You need it, you have to have it, but I know that me freaking out over something I can't control is just gonna make a situation worse. So it's more about maintaining the expectation and the stress surrounding a situation. When I have a daily practice and I am more peaceful and stress-free, I'm generally in a better mood. If left to my own devices, I heard an old-timer in AA say, that he idles at restless, irritable, and discontent, and I certainly do the same, as many people, addicts or not, do. But through practicing and cultivating better behaviors and better thoughts, then generally speaking, I'm in a better mood and I'm less cranky and I'm less reactionary. I can tend to blow up at things, and I used to really hold on to anger. I used to want to let you know I was mad, and hold it against you, and I don't operate that way anymore. I don't feel like holding on to resentments, because ultimately it hurts me. So, I would just rather be happier and peaceful, and this is the way that I do that, is through a daily practice of good intention. Some people just meditate just to become more focused, and that's cool. It does. It increases your focus because you are essentially sitting and focusing on your breathing, or a statement or what have you, and it increases your attention span, and it allows you to become more focused overall. There are some alleged health benefits as far as like mental health or physical health, like lower blood pressure, and I believe it. Like I think stress is a silent killer. So I haven't done any like in-depth research of the studies, but I'm gonna go ahead and say like, yeah, I believe it. Why not? Let's do it. And again, for me, it was like really a big deal to have this in my pocket as a tool to fight cravings, and I still use mindfulness practices as a tool against cravings for drugs or alcohol. I still live in this world where booze is everywhere, and even on TV you'll be watching a show and everybody drinks. It's crazy. Like, I don't think like regular people notice how much people drink as much as an alcoholic does. For instance, I've been, I know it's like way old, but I've been watching Mad Men, and those guys are drinking like all the time, and I still have this mental obsession where I see somebody with a glass of whiskey and I'm like, that looks really good. And a lot of times in the past that would get me in trouble because I would latch on to the thought of that glass of whiskey, and I would have this craving and like this romantic, remembrance of a glass of scotch, or like, remember this time where I had this 18-year bottle, blah 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 blah. Then like from there the thought could go to like, well, you've done really well, you've got so much time under your belt, like I think you can do this now. And so from there, like justification after justification. This is historically how the story has been with me. But I think we all know how that turns out, and definitely I do. It doesn't end well. It never is one class. It's losing a job and losing hundreds and maybe thousands of dollars of money and just back on my ass, and it doesn't work for me. So instead of latching onto that thought and running with it, I can still have the thought of like, that glass of whiskey looks good. I forgot to turn my computer on silent. I can still have the thought that glass of whiskey looks good, but I can also gently say, no, not today. I can step back and I can start breathing and realize that thought is not real, and that I can just push it away like a cloud, like whew, and it's gone, and I'm fine. And I just have to remember, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and so meditation has been one of the greatest things that I've discovered, and I encourage anybody to do it. And even if you think to yourself like, I can't do it, I can't think, my mind can't shut my mind off, I'm like, that's the point. The point is that you're trying not to shut it off, but to mitigate the damage done from overthinking. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe, like, hit the notification thingamajig so you can get notified when I make new videos. Let me know in the comments if you like this, if you hate it, if you want to see something else. Anyway, thanks for letting me share.